Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight on Our News, travel looking up at LPIA. Business owners share their hopes for 2021. Plus, what's on your New Year's resolution? Happy New Year, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Our News. I'm Jillian Gray, topping news tonight. A man was found dead with gunshot wounds in a classroom at Stapleton School today. The man is an employee of the school, according to police press liaison Audley Peters, who said his body was discovered shortly after noon.
Police received reports of a body being found lifeless on the premises here at Stapleton School. On their arrival, they were directed to a northwestern room where they found the body of a male lying in a pool of blood. Emergency medical services were summoned, and upon the examination of the body, they pronounced it dead. We're appealing to members of the public who may have any information in regard to this incident to contact the Criminal Investigations Department at 502-9991.
The first murder of 2021 came one day after two men were shot and killed last night in two separate shooting incidents. The first occurred on Wilson Track after 8 p.m. when a lone gunman approached a man at his residence and fatally shot him. Moments later, officers were alerted via ShotSpotter to an incident on Rupert Dean Lane. It was there they found a male with several gunshot wounds. He later succumbed to his injuries in hospital. Peters said there is no indication that the two late-night homicides are related to the fatal shooting of the Stapleton School employee. He did say, though, that they are following significant leads and could bring that matter to a close soon.
No indications at this time. We're following a significant lead that can possibly lead to a closure of this matter as early as next week.
Now, officers are also investigating another shooting incident that took place midnight last night. A man was shot on Lady Slipper Avenue off Soldier Road. He was transported to hospital by EMS, and officers say they have no update on his condition at this time. 2020 has been a challenging year for many, especially in the travel and tourism sectors, which saw the grounding and cancellation of flights, the complete shutdown of tourist entries at one point, and the gradual reopening of the sector. As Christina Dragovich tells us, Lynden Pinling International Airport is looking up for 2021.
It's a welcome sound as international and domestic flights are flying in and out of the capital once again after a rocky 2020. Vice President of Marketing and Commercial Development at Nassau Airport Development Company, Jan Knowles, says with the reopening of major hotels in the capital, air traffic has seen an uptick in international and domestic travel.
The airport has seen an increase in scheduled flights for the month of December over prior months, October and November. As the major hotels have reopened, we are hopeful that the slight recovery in passenger numbers and flights we are seeing from month to month will steadily continue into the first quarter of 2021.
Where the airport is today is the result of the work over the past 9 months, according to Knowles, who says NAD has been working to make the airport a safe place for employees and passengers. That, she says, includes the use of technology.
We're rolling out a new contactless food and beverage ordering platform called the LPI Marketplace powered by Grab. The contactless platform will give travelers the ability to order and pay for food and beverage from participating airport concessions using their smartphones.
Technology has also been rolled out by United States Customs and Border Protection Services to reduce touch points as passengers move through the airport with its simplified arrival.
It's the use of facial comparison technology to make the U.S. pre-clearance process more efficient. In addition to the efficiency, however, the new system has public health benefits by reducing the need to capture fingerprints or handle documents.
Back in September, LPIA achieved the Airport Council International's Airport Health Accreditation, marking LPIA's alignment with industry best practices and the World Health Organization in the midst of the pandemic. LPIA was the first airport in the region to receive such a distinction. Reporting for Our News, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Last year was certainly a rough one for many businesses, some of which have not reopened. However, there are some that have stuck it out and are looking forward to a brighter 2021. Kyle Joaquin reports.
The initial process was very difficult, but once we got open, people were very receptive.
It's a story you probably didn't hear much last year. New businesses opening their doors for the first time. During a time that saw many shut their doors for good, Q-Tel Lemore and the team at the Bahama Bistro took a chance at a new business venture involving some of the best cuisine you can find on the island.
They're following all of the health guidelines, so if there's any issues with that, we have quickly expanded. We have a lot of new vendors wanting to sign up for the new year, so we're excited about that as well.
Tiki Bikini Hut reopened just over 2 months ago, and General Manager Stephen Michael Nesbitt said 2020 has been rough for them, just as with many other businesses.
But since we opened the last 2.5 months, we've been seeing a gradual increase in business. In the last 2.5 weeks, the steady flow has been coming since the country's open now, and Bahama is open, and Atlanta is open, and the Hilton. We have seen a lot of tourists. Right now on the beach, we get about maybe 20, 30 tourists now. So they are now migrating from those big hotels onto this world-famous Tiki Bikini Hut.
Nesbitt says it's a good thing to see major resorts finally reopened. He said they not only impact their employees, but also the smaller businesses that cater to them.
As we see more tourists stream in from 7 a.m., you can come and get a full continental breakfast, and because we feel the energy. It is coming back slowly, but in the last 2 weeks, we are very optimistic that it will continue to grow.
Over at Balmoral Club, President Dwayne Mortimer says restrictions have caused some aspects and activities to change. But there are some new hits, like their brunch.
One of the biggest hits and highlights of the brunch is our $25 mimosa. And that is $25 not for one mimosa, but that is endless. Drink as much and be as responsible as you can for just a mere $25. We have a vast menu that includes breakfast items, lunch items, sandwiches, salads. We just laid it out for our members.
One thing they all agree on is that they're glad to finally put 2020 behind them.
To not have a repeat of 2020. Anything better than 2020 right now. I'm just going to go in being hopeful.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Over on Grand Bahama, businesses have been hit hard by Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic over the last year and a half. Nonetheless, they say they are hopeful that the economy will pick up this year.
I'm a very optimistic person, so even though it appears to be gloomy, I wanted to be able to not take off like everybody else. You know, I wanted to put in the work and be able to contribute to my community. And the flower shop came around because I saw that, you know, everybody was glum, and what makes everybody smile? Flowers. And that was the reason we put a flower shop in the store.
Delarice Pratt has been trying to open her business since the beginning of 2020. When she finally got it up and running in November, she said she breathed a sigh of relief. Artist Studio is a trinket shop that sells flowers and knickknacks. While many are waiting on the tourism industry in Grand Bahama to resume, Pratt says people should be moving more towards entrepreneurship rather than depending on tourism.
We're really hoping to see more second homeowners come in and new visitors come on the island, but really I think that we need to not rely so much on tourism right now, and because really for the last few years it's been our community, our people cycling the money in. Yes, the economy is down, but I don't think tourism needs to be the total reliance right now. Shop home, spend local, create your own job, you know. I'm all for it. It can work. Don't be discouraged. It works. I'm living proof that it can happen.
General Manager of Playtime Sports, Ghassan Haddad, agreed that more people should shop locally to support the economy.
They're getting basically the same prices that the U.S. We try to give good prices as much as we can. You know, there's overheads and there's all this shipping and duty and stuff like this.
The sports equipment and apparel store was displaced for more than 8 months because of flooding during Dorian and delays during COVID-19. Haddad said despite Dorian and COVID-19, they were able to retain all of their staff. The pandemic caused a boost in sales for at least one of their products.
After COVID, all the suppliers ran out of all dumbbells. You can't find any sporting equipment, any exercise equipment anywhere. It was hard for me to bring them in because you can't find them. But now everything is getting back to, hopefully, to normal.
Both Haddad and Pratt said in light of all they have experienced over the last 2 years, they're hopeful that 2021 would be a brighter year.
I'm really excited for 2021, to be honest. I mean, after we've gone through this and we've gone through much worse with the other storms, it can't get any worse. You know, when you're down, the only way is to go up. So I'm very optimistic, very positive for 2021.
We are a resilient people, so 2021 is going to be a great year for us. Like I said, although 2020 was bad, but we are here, we're alive. As long as you're alive, you do the best out of the situation. 2021 is going to be a great year for everybody.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Now that the penny will no longer be accepted, businesses will be required to round all purchases to the nearest 5 cents, according to Central Bank Currency Department Manager Jermaine Campbell.
And in the rounding, it's really rounding up or down 1 or 2 cents or to the nearest 5 cents, really. So for 11 and 12, that'll round down to 10, 13 and 14, up to 15 cents, 16 and 17 down to 15, and 18 and 19 up to 20 cents.
He added that customers nor stores should lose or gain any more than 2 cents with every purchase. He made it clear this should only occur on cash transactions.
The rounding really should affect all cash transactions, and that should take place really only at the final bill. So not, separate items, and then, you don't round separate items and then round the bill. So once you have received the bill, then that's rounded. And again, it's only for cash transactions, so electronic transactions, to pay the same amount that's billed.
Still to come on Our News, Bahamians are hopeful for a better 2021. Plus, business partners shift gears during the pandemic. That's coming up when Our News returns.
This year has been hard on all of us. Many have lost friends and loved ones to COVID-19, which has changed the world and the way we live.
From the start of the first case to the second wave, Our News has been there with you, and we will continue to stand with you this holiday season.
Sharing in your stories of tragedy and triumph. Christmas may look and feel very different this year,
but its meaning of love and hope remains the same. From our family to yours, Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
2020 dealt a devastating blow to many as the world was forced to adjust to the new normal. Residents are now optimistic about the year ahead. Bethany McDermott reports.
2020 has been a year of trials and tragedy. Many lost loved ones to COVID-19. Businesses were closed for months, with some never recovering, and Bahamians were forced to adjust to a new normal that included face masks, curfews, and lockdowns. So it's no surprise that Bahamians were happy to say so long to 2020 and hello 2021. As the new year rolled in, these residents expressed hope that the nation will soon bounce back from the pandemic.
Get 2020, and just hope that the country could rebound.
I hope that Bahamians realize that they have a lot to be thankful for. I hope they realize that if they stay together, stick together, that we can accomplish a lot.
Meanwhile, these residents' hopes were a little more personal.
I'm hoping my family continues to stay safe and COVID-free, and for my family and friends and everyone we love. We're also hoping to get through 2021.
Yes, after learning what's happening with this year, just be a bit more patient with myself, be a bit more patient with my dreams, and always know that once you work towards something, Rome isn't built in a day. It's progress instead of perfection.
And with an eventful year now behind us, we asked Bahamians how 2020 was for them.
Like everybody, it's not been easy mentally. I know a lot of people have been done bad financially because it's been a rough year. Luckily, I was able to stay employed and stay working, but a lot of people were not, and I saw a lot of that on the job.
2020 was eventful. I'm still recovering from a stroke. My wife is recovering from a double mastectomy. But we are positive. We realize that life goes on.
It's been all right. I mean, it's ups and downs, but that's a part of life, So, still have a job, still have a family.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
What do you do when the business you've invested time, energy, and other resources into is deemed non-essential? If you're the owners of Plume Vape Lounge, you start a new business. Jared Higgs tells us more.
Put our heads together and say, hey, we need a business that if something like this happens again, it'll be pandemic proof.
When their business was ordered closed as non-essential, Sidney Bethel and his business partner were in a corner.
Going into 3 years at the company, and seeing all of your hopes, your dreams, all your passion, your money and time invested in a business, that it could possibly fail at no fault of your own, but because someone else said you cannot work.
A vaping business isn't essential, and that's what the business partners owned. But when put under pressure, the duo decided to shift gears. That was the start of Carib Botanicals, a business focused on producing hand sanitizer and masks.
We saw that there was a shortage of sanitizer, so we decided to go into that. So it started off as just us manufacturing the sanitizer, and then we started adding other products to our roster.
Bethel says they approached the business almost like a science project, researching ingredients on Google and making samples at home. They'd meet up in parking lots when pandemic restrictions allowed, and eventually came up with their formula.
At the end of the day, this is something that is a product of the Bahamas. So we had to make sure that whatever we put out there not only is just as good as everything else, but better.
Bethel says he and his partner were financially responsible, so they were able to start a new business with existing funds. Still, though, the business owner says he struggled mentally in the early stages.
Severe depression of the unknown. We never went through anything like this before. We have no idea of what we're going to last and all that stuff. However, I have this model that every problem has a solution.
The duo say there have been sales, and it's mom and pop stores that have been propping them up in the early stages. They recently acquired a machine that can produce 45,000 masks per day. Going forward,
the next step is a lot of sales, a lot of wholesale distribution, and hopefully, not hopefully, because we will, expand this business to the point where we can now provide not jobs, but careers.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
When our news comes back from the break, meet the young animator who claimed the top prize for his COVID PSA. And later, two groups helped to make the season bright for Grand Bahama students. Stay tuned.
This year has been hard on all of us. Many have lost friends and loved ones to COVID-19, which has changed the world and the way we live.
From the start of the first case to the second wave, Our News has been there with you, and we will continue to stand with you this holiday season.
Sharing in your stories of tragedy and triumph. Christmas may look and feel very different this year,
but its meaning of love and hope remains the same. From our family to yours, Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
This is Our News. Welcome back. A 16-year-old student puts purpose behind his passion. Christina Dragovich tells us how.
Masked Crusader is reminding everyone to social distance, keep their hands clean, and you guessed it, wear a mask. It's the concept of a 30-second public service announcement designed by 16-year-old Antonio Rose, a Temple Christian student with a passion for animation. Rose put purpose behind his passion, creating the PSA as part of a competition held by the Office of the Prime Minister last month. The young artist says he was surprised to learn his work was one of the top 3 submissions.
But I thought of how would a cool-looking PSA for wearing your masks would be, and I just did that.
If you think his work looks familiar, you're right. Rose says he was inspired by Minecraft, another one of his pastimes. Since the start of the pandemic, Rose, like many other students around the world, has found himself with more free time at home. That, he says, has allowed him more time to work on his art and animation.
Ever since it started, I think I've just had a lot more time of improving myself because along with my animation, I also do a bit of pixel art as well that I'm learning and a bit of this kind of art called voxel art. It's basically like pixel art but in 3D. And then I also recently took up a bit of music making as well.
He says he enjoys losing his mind in animation once in a while and plans to grow his craft.
I'm definitely gonna make a lot more. I'm thinking about making longer animations with like a lot of story and plot and all of that.
His main takeaway? Everyone has a role to play in staying safe during the pandemic.
Mainly stay inside for the most part, but then when you actually have to go outside, just wear a mask. It's just a small thing that you put around your face. It helps you. It's not like it does any harm to you.
You can watch the full PSA on the Office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
It was an initiative geared towards helping the most vulnerable. The Reach Out organization delivered 5,000 meals to the elderly and others in need on Grand Bahama during the holiday season.
A lot of people were suffering over COVID-19, but we dropping off over 5,000 care packages to the people here in Grand Bahama. I have 3 more stops, 5 more stops. From here, I head down to Penless Point, Lowest Yard, Marktown. Then I head down to Holmes Rock, and my last stop will be in West End, where we do the same thing, knocking on doors, wishing them a Merry Christmas, and dropping off grocery items to them.
Representative Dudley Said thanked the companies that assisted in the food drive, and he said he was delighted to deliver the groceries to those in need.
We acting like Santa Claus and the reindeer today with the buses, but we seeing smiles from old folks in their wheelchair, folks who can't see, and those folks that we're touching. This is what it's all about, going to where they at, because a lot of these folks don't have no car after Hurricane Dorian. They can't come out of their homes. So what we doing, we going to them. So I am so happy.
Residents say they were grateful for the donation, adding it made the holidays a bit brighter.
It meant very much to me that I can receive a package today. Not only me, quite a few people in the community are more than glad to accept a package today from Mr. Dudley Said and Company.
I just wish more the companies come around and look out for the less fortunate. This means a million to me.
Any ray of hope is a blessing, and I always say that when you're blessed, you are to be a blessing to others. So we thank God for whatever has been taking place, will take place here today.
Still to come, the Rotary Club on Grand Bahama teams up with Buzz Airlines to make the holidays happy for a group of students. Stay tuned.
This year has been hard on all of us. Many have lost friends and loved ones to COVID-19, which has changed the world and the way we live.
From the start of the first case to the second wave, our news has been there with you, and we will continue to stand with you this holiday season.
Sharing in your stories of tragedy and triumph. Christmas may look and feel very different this year,
but its meaning of love and hope remains the same. From our family to yours, Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
And finally, tonight in news, Buzz Airlines and the Rotary Club of Grand Bahama Sunrise teamed up to give kids on Grand Bahama a very special holiday season by donating dozens of gifts. Rotarian James Sarles says they felt it was important to give back as the country has been through a tough year.
We ran a big raffle, and a lot of people in the community have supported this, and we're able to feed the hungry. There's so many people that are food insecure now, so all of our fellow Rotarians, we're going to be going out giving coupons so that they can have a Christmas dinner and toys, and so it's just a way of Grand Bahama Sunrise to give back.
The gifts were given to students at West End Primary School. Sarles says a part of the funds to purchase the gifts was donated by Buzz Airlines.
Buzz is very corporate-minded, community-minded, and they approached Rotary, and they said, you're doing this great raffle, we'll contribute. So they've paid for a good portion of these gifts. The other portion comes from Rotary.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Jillian Gray. Do have a happy new year and a wonderful evening.